Hello guys, so sorry I am late. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm late. Please forgive me. I always think I can get more done than I do in the amount of time allotted. So anyway, gosh, here I am with the sourdough starter that I promised you. I have the wrong glasses on. I'm not going to be able to see who's commenting. If you are just jumping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from and if you have ever made sourdough before. Again, please forgive me for my tardiness. Hopefully you saw the update that I said it was going to be around 1. Hi Carlia. Hi Maria. Hi guys. Alright, I'm really excited about this. Lots of different ways to make a sourdough starter, as I talked about yesterday. You can even order dried sourdough starters that are 140 years old on like eBay and Etsy, which I think would be really cool. Maybe I'll do that someday as well. But I wanted to make this one because I think it's going to just have a better flavor, a more interesting flavor. It's a grape starter, grape sourdough starter. And if you saw my post earlier about this sourdough, when my husband was diagnosed with cancer, we did the Maker's Diet by Jordan Rubin. He's amazing. The Lord led us to the Maker's Diet, and he led us to put my husband on a blend of mushrooms. Amazing. And he was healed miraculously. Awesome. Anyway, one of the things that you are allowed to eat at a certain point in the Maker's Diet, it comes from the Bible, the Maker's Diet, is sourdough. And you had to make it from scratch. It has to be wild yeast. Brewer's yeast doesn't do the same things. If you want to know exactly why sourdough is acceptable and better, way better than regular bread, way better than any kind of bread that uses brewer's yeast, even sourdough off the shelf, like good sourdough, like Trader Joe's, uses like commercial brewer's yeast, and it does not do the same things as wild yeast, the wild fermentation process in an authentic sourdough. So watch that video. I'm going to make this today, and then I'm going to put a link to the recipe on my blog, which is soulprosperity.me. Hi everybody. Akandinda. Hello. Hi Jamie. Hi Tracy. Daniela, hello, how is everybody today? Alright, I'm also going to do a giveaway. Somebody on this live is going to win a beautiful sourdough recipe book, but there are some requirements. You have to share this video, and you have to follow on my timeline. Not just be a friend, but you have to be a follower on my timeline. And the reason I'm doing that is because I keep reaching 5,000 friends, and then there's no room for any more, and I have to go in and delete if I want to get to know people. And so I'm trying to get my friends and I to follow each other, unfriend and follow each other, so that there's room for more people on our timelines. I hope that makes sense. If we're both following each other, we should still see each other's posts. If we're just friends with each other, I think there's less of a chance of seeing each other's posts. So do me a favor if you're watching this. If you could follow me, unfriend me, and tell me you did that so that I can go to your timeline and follow you so that we're seeing each other, I would love that. That would be so helpful. So, beautiful sourdough cookbook. If you want to win, share this video, follow on my timeline, and say in the comments, I shared and followed, okay? Cindy, hello, Brandy. Yes, that's the best way. Yay. Okay. Now, you're supposed to have organic grapes. I could not find organic grapes. How annoying. I probably should have gone to Trader Joe's. I didn't plan well. I just assumed the local Meijer that I go to all the time would have them because they normally have organic fruits, and all they had was organic apples and bananas. No grapes. So, such a bummer. So I'm actually going to use regular grapes. I feel bad. What I will probably do is I'll make this up And then eventually I'll probably just make a new starter with organic. But I'm just going to pray over my grapes. Lord, just wash all the chemicals off, because I'm not even allowed to do that. Like, you want the wild yeast that is on the stems and on the skins in order to ferment your starter, in order to bring to life your starter. So if I wash them all off in baking soda and salt like you're supposed to, I'm going to get rid of all that wild yeast. So I'm just going to pray, Lord. Oh, did you ever see, oh gosh, what's his name? I'm going to forget, the comedian that says, praying over his Cheetos, Lord, change the molecular structure of this Cheeto. That's what it feels like. Lord, remove the chemicals from the grapes and bless my sourdough starter. But yeah, if I'm going to keep this going and hand it down to my kids and stuff, I really would want to have it to be authentically organic from the get-go. So I will probably redo it in a little while. But we're going to do it like this today, and just to make sure it works and everything else, and then eventually I will redo it. Okay, first things first, you got to wash your cheesecloth. So I'm just using this. This is probably going to be right. You need a ½ pound of grapes, and I want to be able to tie it into a little bag. So I'm going to wash this, and then we're going to fill it with grapes, and then we're going to crush some of the grapes. All right, so I'm going to open it up a little bit, wash it. Okay, I use some organic, healthy dish soap. I'm going to open it up to make a bag. I'm going to let that sit there just for a minute, and I got a pretty jar. Home Goods has the prettiest jars. Look at how beautiful that is. I love their copper lids. I have another one that I got at Home Goods for my coffee, which I love. So they only had silver left, and then they had one copper, just one, and it was dented. I'm like, well, that's okay. And I actually had to switch the jar. I like this jar better because it's more beautiful. The other one was plain, the one that this lid was on, and it's squatty enough to fit easily in the fridge. So I just swapped. They were the same size, same brand and everything. I just swapped out the lid so I could have the copper one on the pretty jar. Anyway, it was dented, and so I got up, and this really nice lady named Sandy, who was my checker, said, "You want to try and get you money off of this?" And I was like, "Well, I'm running late." And she's like, "That's okay, I'll call my manager over." And she gave me this jar for $30. Come on. So if you have a Home Goods or a Marshall's or something near you. Oh, I love Trader Joe's. Yeah, hopefully they'll just keep building some more. Hi, Bruce. Facebook censorship at its finest. Right? I hate that. I heard that there is a new... I have to look into it. I heard there's a new platform where 100% of your followers see 100% of your content. And I think it's called like All Social or something, meaning they're going to see it all. But I'll have to look into that. Anyway, I have 2.5 cups of water, pre-measured. If your house is cold, you're going to want to use warm water. Yeast doesn't grow in the cold, so it's got to be warm to like feed the environment, you know? My house is pretty warm. We keep it at 71 during the day. Plus I get a lot of west sun, so I'm just going to put this in the window, and it's going to get that west sun all day. And then overnight there's a vent there, because you're going to leave this at room 10. Overnight there's a vent right there that's going to keep it warm. Okay? Now, Nancy, what is it? I forget her last name. Sylvester? No, that's the name of the jar. Nancy somebody. I said it on my original post. This is her recipe. I think she's the La Brea. I think she's the person that started La Brea. She says to use bread flour. I'm not going to. I have a little bit of 100% whole grain sprouted. I'm using King Arthur and Bob's. Those are the two kinds I always use. So you need 2 cups of flour. I'm going to use just a little bit of King Arthur sprouted wheat that I have left. And then I'm going to use a whole wheat from Bob's. Now, regardless of what flour that you make your starter with, you can use this with any kind of bread later. So even if you start with bread flour or AP flour, I wouldn't go with AP. You need the good flora that's in the flour, and there's way more of it. You know, white flour has been stripped of a lot of that stuff, so you can use rye, pumpernickel, wheat. But again, she got hers to work with bread flour, so you can try it. But anyway, regardless of what you use your starter now, you can make a gazillion things with this later. I'm going to make challah bread. You can make waffles and cakes and, you know, traditional sourdough loaves, rye, whole wheat, doesn't matter. So just keep that in mind. What you're making your starter with now doesn't have any bearing on what you can use this in later. If you want to make a white bread later, what you're doing with this is literally, it's just, instead of adding a packet of yeast to your recipe, your bread recipe later, you're going to just add a lump of this. So you're creating your own yeast. That's what you're doing. That's what this is. So again, the flour doesn't matter. Okay? So I'm going to stir this up. All my flour is floating on top. I'm going to mix this really well. Get that to sink down a little bit. Oh my gosh. Maybe I should have gotten a bigger jar or done like half a recipe, but the way that this works is you're going to feed it for, you're going to stir it just a couple of times. You're going to leave it at room temp for 6 days and stir it just a couple of times. And then eventually you start throwing some of it out or giving some of it to friends. So this jar in the long run will be the perfect size. Right now it's looking a little tight, but I think it should be okay. All right. It's not like bread dough where it's going to double in size or anything right now. It doesn't have any yeast in it yet. We're just going to start to get it to grow right now, so we should be okay. Let me see who's here. Kelly, Christina, hello. Deborah, Valerie shared and started a watch party. Randy, you rock. Thank you. Thank you. All right, she shared and started a watch party because, in case you just jumped on late and you didn't hear, you share this video and you follow me on my timeline and unfriend me because I'm always needing more room. Send me a message telling me you followed so I can follow you back. I'm going to give away to somebody on this broadcast, but we got to reach enough people. Let's say if we get 200 views. If this video gets to 200 views, I'm going to give away a beautiful sourdough recipe book. All right, I'm going to save this because I'm going to need something to dunk my grapes in there. Then you want about a half a pound of grapes, and I'm going to guess. I have a scale, but I'm not going to go get it. Let me get my scissors. Wait, I have them. There we go. All right. You want the stems and everything. This looks about a half a pound. 8 ounces. Okay. Tie them all up in a knot in my cheesecloth. Again, watch the video that I did yesterday. It talks about, what are they called? Like phthalates, and how it's going to break those down. Real sourdough, real wild yeast breaks those down so that your body can absorb the nutrients better. Right now we're going to crush these with, I'm going to use a paper plate, so that I can, if any juice comes out, I can dump it right in. So we're going to crush these a little bit with a rolling pin. Easy, easy. You just want the juices to start flowing. The skins is where all the wild yeast is, and then the juice on the inside is going to feed, the sugar is going to feed the wild yeast that's on the outside. I have a biblical healing group if you guys are into this kind of stuff and you want to know, you want to see the testimony of how my husband was healed, with how the Lord used mushrooms and the Maker's Diet to heal my husband. It's all in my biblical healing group. All right. Juice is starting to come out and my cheesecloth is starting to turn purple. It's almost easier just to crush them with my hands. All right, this is awesome. So, I'm going to post this recipe in a little bit on my blog at soulprosperity.me. We're going to leave it room temperature for 6 days, just opening it and stirring it up a little bit now and then, like twice over the 6 days. All right, you guys see this? Not very much juice came up, but I want every little bit. Okay, just dunking that right in there. And the bag is going to inflate and separate. You're going to see like the dough-ish stuff kind of separate and pull away from the bag a little bit, and there's going to be a bunch more liquid around the bag. And then it's going to change, it's going to be purplish, then it's going to change colors, it's going to turn yellow and start to bubble, and that's when you know, we're done. And then I'll go live again to show you the next process. So right now, if you're doing this with me, or if you're going to do this tonight, put a lid on it. If you're using a bowl, you can put plastic wrap and a rubber band. Tightly cover it. It has everything it needs inside. Tightly cover it and stir it twice over the next 6 days. Leave it in a warm spot. Warmish. You don't want it cold. If it's cold, it's not going to work. All right? Let's see what you guys are saying. Who is still here? All right, I think we're done. Brandy, I'm going to go follow you. Thank you for your help. Lisa, I will follow you as well if you will follow me and unfriend. So when you see me unfriend you, know why I did it. Anybody else who's willing to help me do that so that I can make more room on my timeline, that would be on my friends list, that'd be wonderful, because I keep running out. And that's it. After 6 days, I'll go live for the next process, and then we'll make our first loaf like a few days after that, I think. So thank you for watching. If we get to 200 views, I'm giving away that sourdough recipe book. And I'll put the link to my blog with the recipe in a little bit. God bless you guys. May you be in health and prosper, even as your soul prospers. Bye.